go. So it was really interesting to hear when we talk about this. I was at a Tony Robbins experience. I mean, I've been to many of them, but one of the things he says is, if you say Susie's a bitch, then you need to, hey Gwen, call you Gwen. But he says, if you're saying Susie's a bitch, you might want to take a step back and go, well, you're a bitch. I'm a bitch. And the reason is, and it took me forever. I'm like, if Susie's a bitch, that doesn't make me a bitch. That's just because and I would get I would kind of get indignant about it because um, it's not the truth that you are or whatever. So I didn't like that he was like making that identification, and it really kind of stuck sideways. I'm like, just because she is doesn't mean I am. But let's face it, guys. Can we all be bitch-y? Yeah, good morning, good morning. Or angry or happy or any of those other emotions. We all have those emotional states in us, and we all have the ability to go into that space where we're not showing up as our highest and best, right? And that's what he's talking about. He kind of explains it, but I think one of the really big things that we talk about when it comes to this is really understanding that we all have the ability and the rainbow of emotions, if you will. We all have that. That's the human design. And so I had Tuesday like in the building. She was being like so good, my little mini horse. If you guys don't know Tuesday, make sure you're following me on my social channels so you can go and check her out because she's just such a cute little bug. But and she's just great when I take her out. When I take her out to events and stuff, she's just absolutely perfect. So who here, my mentor always said, raise your hand if you love horses. And so one of the ladies that was there, she really loved horses. And she was like, oh, and she was very sweet and she was very kind. And she said, where does Tuesday like to be pet? And I was like, well, that's an interesting assumption that she does. And my knee jerk, and it just came out of my mouth before I could even say it. Because I know my horse very well. I didn't know this woman very well. She was being very kind. And but the words came out of my mouth before I could even stop them. I said, well, actually, she doesn't like to be touched. And that's the truth. I mean, you have to be to really get to where Tuesday is okay with you touching her or petting her or engaging with her. You really have to have your act together, right? Now and I was like, because the minute I said that, the woman like pulled her hand back, and I was like, oh man, that's what Tuesday is there for. That's her job, to let people pet her and be, light up because she's around her. Right? That's Tuesday's job, and she doesn't care to be touched. But what a projection. Like, even though it was very kind, what a projection that woman made on the horse or on the other individual, right? Like, instead of saying, does she, or whatever it happened to be, it's like, where does she like to be pet? Or, even though it was still kind, right? She was making an assumption and doing what? Projecting, hey, if you'd love to, hey, thanks for requesting to be a part of my live, guys. If you want to be a part of one of my lives, please reach out to me privately. Don't just request on here. Okay, thanks. So she projected her ideology onto the horse. She projected her own ideas onto, what she was trying to do to engage. And so read the room, right? Read the room. And so I thought about that today, and I was like, how many times do we walk into a space and make assumptions based on our past experience and make projections onto other individuals, right? We all make projections onto other individuals all the time based on what? They're based on a few things. I'm going to talk about those things in just a second. So, because Susie isn't really being a bitch, or she isn't a bitch, she might be acting bitchy in your opinion or from your perspective. But maybe you're missing something. So there's actually a few ways to look at this that can really be powerful for you. Are you projecting your ideology onto the other individual? Number one. Are you making an assumption about what they do or do not want? And how do you ask a horse? Where would you like to be pet? You have to really know. And so sometimes I'll like get out there and just rustle Tuesday. I'll just like rustle her and play with her and just kind of and she's like, nah, nah. And then we get to engaging, right? But it's tricky with her. She's very tricky little girl. But Dante, my other horses, I'm going to go through this. So this week, I'm going to be going through a whole series about projections, like how we tend to project. We tend to project our ideologies onto other people based on what, right? Here we go. You ready? Based on a few things, based on our values, based on our beliefs, and based on our past experience, and based on our impulsivity and our desires. So that's really important to understand too. It's like if you have an ideology, or if you have something like that, she wanted a pet her. And the biggest one I got is, if you ever had someone come up to you and say, "Oh, can I give you a hug? Can I give you a hug?" And you got to ask yourself. My ex-boyfriend used to do this to me all the time. He's like, "Here, come here. You give me a hug." And I'm like, I don't want a hug, because who's the hug really for, right? And that's the big piece. Who are you doing this for? Are you doing it for them? Are you doing it for yourself? He wasn't giving me a hug. He was getting a hug from me. He was trying to give to me to make sure his needs were being met, consciously or subconsciously. And that's the same thing that was happening with Tuesday. It's like, are we petting her for her, or are we petting her for us? Now, keeping in mind that this is Tuesday's job. She doesn't, haul carts of coal out of mines, or, jump and, this is her job. This is what she's here. This is why I have her, is to help people. I do fear makeovers with her. I help people she pulls a cart. She has all these things that she does. And a lot of people ask me, like, what's a mini good for? I'm like, are you kidding me? There's so many things they can do. In fact, when I very first got into horses, my husband, now ex-husband, said, no minis. And I'm like, how about one? We're getting a mini. And I tell you what, these little guys are just the best, because they're not as intimidating as a large horse. Hey, good morning. They're not as intimidating as the big guys. So when you can go and engage with a miniature horse. I mean, she'll bite you or kick you if she really doesn't like you, or if she's really like, I'm done. She's like a little ticking time bomb when I take her places. She's like, I can set the clock. 90 minutes, like almost to the minute, like minute 91. She's like, she gets this little like look in her eye. And I'm like, okay, time to go before somebody gets kicked or bit, because she's like, I'm done, right? And it would be a little bit different scenario if we were actually doing things for the other person. And I posted earlier today, expect more from yourself and less from others, right? So in a social situation, do we tend to let, our guards down a little bit and kind of be a little bit more, they were champagne, and everything was fun and social. But at the same time, really having that heightened level of sensory acuity and about what others need. So you don't end up petting them for you, end up getting bit, and then calling them the bitch. I'll say that again, because this is the gold right here. We come in and we give them a hug or a pet or whatever. We give them what we think they need or want or desire. And then when they react in a way that is not positive, we go, they're the bitch, they're the jerk, they're the whatever, right? And then what the truth is that they're saying, this is not what I want. This is not what you are not giving to me in this moment. In fact, you are taking from me, whether it's you're giving them advice or a gift or a hug or whatever. And so when you show up in that way and you give to someone, and it's your best example I could think, oh my God. Remember The Simpsons? Remember the Simpsons? I think they're still a thing. But I loved The Simpsons when I was a kid. I watched them every time I could get my parents to let me watch The Simpsons. I was like, oh, it's a big treat. And one of the episodes was Homer gives Marge a bowling ball for her birthday. And she's like, I've never bowled in my life, right? I can sadly do a pretty good Marge impression. As long as I can do Patty and Selma, I'll be okay. But she's like, I haven't bowled. He's like, well, I got your name's engraved on it, Homer. He's like, so you can remember it's for me. It's like, well, the holes are drilled for your hand. He's like, well, I couldn't very well cut your hand off and take it to the store. So there are all these things, right? That kind of, and she goes, so she started bowling. And that, then met the bowling instructor. It's kind of, But he wasn't giving that gift to her for her. He was giving that gift to her for him, right? And he opens the box and like smashes in the cake and she's pissed, right? But we tend to project, onto others when they don't respond the way we want them to. We tend to project our ideologies on them. So today, after the hunter's moon, everything, oh my God, last night, you guys, it was so gorgeous. I was out with the horses in the moonlight. It was almost like daylight out there. And especially it was like gleaming off of Trace, my white horse. And it was an incredible experience to be around them. And every time I walk out there, I check myself. Now, I don't always succeed, but I check myself and I say, am I doing this for them, for their highest and best? Or am I doing this for me? If I'm doing it for the first reason, I'm putting relationship dollars in the bank account, right? If I'm like in a hurry, like sometimes I get in a hurry and I'm like, come on, guys, get in your stalls. It's time to go, So it's just, that's human. It's just being human. We all do it, but that takes withdrawal out of your relationship bank account. So when you're going in for the hug, make sure you know what, why, know their love language. I mean, and that's what we learned here at the retreats and during my masterminds is that it's like understanding how to know who you're engaging with so you can engage with them appropriately. So you can come in and talk to them in an appropriate way. How do you know what that is? First off, you got to know, are they a Dante, a Trace, a Maverick, or a Bella? That's the top layer right there. Then the next layer is, what's the age of their soul? What are they doing to, what's their love language? What's their level of consciousness? Are they matchers or they're mismatchers? How do they communicate? How do they like to be touched if they do? Like Bella, she's okay if you touch her. She just doesn't want you to pet her, stroke her, scratch her, or anything like that. I've never seen anything quite like it with this horse. She's such a special girl. She just wants you to just touch her. She's okay. Just touch and just hold it there. Just have that contact with her. That's all. Too much. Anything more than that is too much for her. Anything more than that is too much. So Dante, on the other hand, he's like, let's play. He's like fist bump. And I realized a couple of years ago, I've had this horse almost 19 years. God, it's been a long time. I've had him for a long time. And I didn't realize till last year, or I guess a couple of years ago, that he likes to play way rougher than I ever thought. And I'm like, I just kind of went bananas on him one day because he was ticking me off. And I was like, you all right? You really? And he like pulled it out of me. And he's like, finally, it only took you so many years to figure out how to do this with me. And I was like, you were such, because Dante, oh my God, I can't tell you how many times I said, that's it, you're glue. I'm done with you. I'm done. But I wasn't giving him what he needed. I was giving him what I thought he needed. Now, let's flip the script a little. If you are in a relationship, whether it be family, work, doesn't matter. We all are in relationships when you're creating that third world, when you get into a space. And this is actually gets really where the rubber meets the pavement, especially in parent and children, between parents and their kids. When you put yourself in a position where you are the one receiving the hug or the scratch or the touch or the love or the gift or whatever it is. And the best example I know firsthand experience is my father. My father does not love in the same way that I like to receive love, right? And he has all of his love filters through his pain and his life and his experiences and his belief systems and that sort of thing. So his boundaries come up hard and fast, and his love is tough and strong. And it's not for somebody like me, like a Bella, who's very sensitive and just wants to be touched, and not not Dante, is very, very hard. And honestly, it's from what I can convey, and I don't know this for sure because I don't have God's eyeballs. is that, that's what really my brother was craving, the love of his father, and he couldn't get in a way that he understood. And my father could not love him. There was too much translation necessary to be able to come into that space. And my brother passed away of a drug overdose almost 2013. So 11 years ago. And I haven't spoken to my father since then. And it's like almost like my father can't take somebody that has this level of brightness and sunshine. My brother is mega Dante. Oh my God. He was like, he was like a Tony Robbins, and larger than life, and I loved Jeff, and so did my dad, and my brother just couldn't ever quite reconcile the translation between not getting the hug or getting the love in a way that he understood. And so because of the work that I've done, and it saved me. It put me in a position where I can understand that even though my father is very harsh, very hard and abusive to my brothers when we were growing up and a lot of different things, I can understand that his higher self really did truly love us very much. But the boundaries he puts, I'm getting really emotional about this, because the boundary he puts in place are very harsh. And the expectation that, from that he has is something that's very challenging. And his communication skills in the softer types of conversations about love and emotion and that sort of thing are unavailable to him. It's kind of like when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And so us kids ran around trying not to be the nail that he was hammering on any given day, right? And my brother's got the worst of it, but it definitely was something that over the years in doing this work, it helped me heal my inner child and helped me understand that Susie's not a bitch. She's just trying to do and communicate in a way that she understands for her. And we all have that. We all have those days where we're trying to rush through or get something done, or we say the wrong thing. And to determine, even if it is your character, even if that's your character, your highest and best is not have those things. Your inner soul, like that's it. You're just filtering it through your belief system and your values. So if I've been a bitch, I've been bitchy. And you fellas out there, same thing. You guys, we all have this in us. We all have this ideology in us. So this week, I'm going to be talking a lot about projection. I'm going to go through each horse and each personality type. So I'm not sure if my quiz is working on my website right now. It's been down for a bit. But if you don't know my horses, you're going to get to. So follow me this week. I'm going to be posting about it throughout the week, talking about each personality, because we all have that. I'm a Bella. I'm a Bella Dante Cusp. And if you want to know what that means, just drop me a message, and I'd be happy to hop on a call and do a little free. I'll be happy to do a discovery call with you. I hope you understand why this is important and what you can learn about who you are engaging with. How do you turn down a hug? How do you turn away and have a boundary around this? And we talk about all of these things: projections, boundary, trust, motivation, inspiration, communication, compassion, how to communicate with compassion, how to have clarity, how to translate the love languages, the archetypes, all of your personalities. All of these things are what make us up, and create this Franken family of who we are. So come join me. I'm going to be doing a lot of cool stuff here coming up in the month of November. And if you'd like to come to Florida and visit me and my horses and do something with me in person, I just opened up a new facility. I'm very excited to be in Wellington, Florida, and talking about these incredible horses, the healing work, the leadership work, and the communications that we learn. Healing our inner child is a big deal. It's something we all need to do. Even if we had the best childhood on the planet, there are things that we learned that we can definitely shift and change within ourselves so we can love more, lead more, and have a better life. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope that you have an incredible Sunday, October 29th, coming into Halloween, and reach out if you'd like to know more. Have a great day, and remember to believe in yourself. It will change your life. Ciao, ciao.